All sports, all plays. Yeah. All sports, all plays. All sports, all plays. 365, we're making up plays. We're talking the game, get you through the days. We're high in the court, the dime in the lane. Variety topics, never the same. All presentation, sports information. Hitting the airways, taking the nation. All sport, all plays, like working your faces. Grace at the field, so tie the laces. All sports, all plays.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Loose Lugs. We're here again. I'm Chris Osborne. He's Dustin Lewis. What's up, man? How you doing?
I'm doing great, man. Doing great. Good weekend of racing. What do you think? I liked the racing. I liked it a lot.
This was about the closest to what last year's racing felt like, with an improvement on passing.
Yeah.
We had green flag runs. We had some cautions, but no big wrecks. But we had some green flag run. I think they said 5 green flag. It was 6 to end the race. So 6 green flag pit stop cycles and only 4 in the first 6 races of the year. Those are impressive numbers.
Mm-hmm.
And some of these guys that were going crazy on tires, a fuel run, and the tires didn't blow this time. So good job on the tire issue. I think you guys are getting through it. How did you feel about the race? Congrats to Denny Hamlin, pulling out the win.
I'll just say this, with about 12 laps to go, it was either going to be the 24 or the 19 winning this race. I didn't see anyone else catching them. They were just – the 24 had a very risky tire strategy, not pitting when everyone else did.
Right.
He had a big lead. He did. But – we saw it with the 19. He took tires, and then within the first few laps, he was like, the tires are already gone. And I was like, if his tires are already dead, I can only imagine what that 24 is having to deal with. And then with about 7 to go, I was like, well, it's still them, but the 11 car is getting real close. And then out of nowhere, here comes the 11 car, passing them. And then here comes the 4 car, and I'm like, oh, well, now it's completely switched. Byron and Truex are now out of this. It's not going to come down to 2. And then 1 lap to go, they come off with 2. And I'm like, yep, 11 cars got this in the bag. 4 is not even close enough. I thought the race was pretty good. Pretty par for the course when it comes to Richmond. Like you said, we had a bunch of green flag pit stops go on this race. Outside of the stage cautions, we only had 3 cautions. Like accident cautions, debris whatever you want to call it. I mean, I think that's a pretty good race. Caution, like you said, no tire failures. It was just a very normal Richmond race. Not a bad or a good thing.
It felt like we were starting to figure out the next gen car, in my opinion. And we still had some handling issues. One thing that I observed the most in that race was a lot of drivers shifting down. And one person commented the only time they'd be in 5th gear is from the start-finish line into turn 1. And then they'd be down in 4th gear the rest of the track because, the front stretch is much longer than the back because of the way the turns are angled. But it was just weird to hear they were in such a low gear ratio. I mean, last year's gear set up 4 gears. You'd never – I don't think they'd even want to shift to 3rd. The jump is too much. But with 5 gears, we might even see that at I doubt we'll see that at Martinsville. But I think we will definitely see that at Bristol for the dirt race to help these guys get out of the turns a little better. It would be crazy to see at Martinsville. I mean, these guys are going to be burning up some tires if they're downshifting at Martinsville.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
I felt like it was the closest thing to – I mean, we've had races this year. We've talked, and you've had plenty of passing, plenty of racing, but mixed in with tire issues. This is the first race where we didn't have needless cautions. We didn't have tire issues, but we still had good racing. And with like you said, about 20 or so to go, we thought we had our race winner in front of us. I didn't think there was a way that Martin Truex Jr. could pass William Byron, and he didn't. I mean, technically he didn't. It was just two different drivers, and I wondered, with the pit strategy being different, because going into those that last stage, Truex had been the one that was all about the one stop for the stages, and then it comes to the last stage, which is longer. It was 200 laps, just about. So I wondered if he'd be able to get away with one. Everybody did two that I know of. I don't think anybody did one stop, but Denny Hamlin and Kevin Harvick, and I think there was two other drivers they were saying were on that same cycle where they pitted later, and it gave them fresher tires at the end. I would like the data from, I would say, about lap 25 on, because if I remember correctly, at one point, Denny Hamlin was like 14 seconds, 15 seconds back and out of this race.
Yeah.
Harvick too. I mean, these guys were toast. And the laps kept ticking, and I kept watching, but I was so distracted watching Larson. They said Kyle Larson was the one flying. I wasn't paying attention to the time for the 11 and the 4. Next thing you know, oh, Carlo on the 5. It's like, what? And the rest is history. It was a pretty cool ending, I gotta say.
Yeah, definitely. Like you said, I thought it was a 24 and the 19. That's who we were going to see win this race. And then, like, the 5 car, I was like, well, okay, he's flying right now, but can he get to them? And then you see the 11 car come out of nowhere with the 4 right behind him.
Yep.
I mean, I thought it was a ballsy strategy for the 24 to not take any more tires, just to try and see if he couldn't stretch him to the. And to be fair, he did stretch him to the end, but man, that could have been our first repeat winner for the season. And
Yeah.
Ouch.
This reminded me a lot of an old school race, because you had different strategies everywhere. You had guys that were leading the race on really old tires. The race that pops out to me is Jeff Gordon's first win. He did not have the fastest car at the end. He had old tires. Either his first win or his first feature win, like a Daytona or Charlotte, something like that. He had really old tires, and he was on the last lap, and he probably got passed by 10 cars while winning the race on the last lap. And I was like, man, that's, you don't often, if you think about it, the leaders normally concede as the fastest car on the track. And for that instance, he was definitely not. He was just pacing himself to finish. This was the same thing. You saw Truex Jr. trying to catch Byron without burning his tires off the car. And Byron had slowed down so much with old tires. I mean, he was just hanging off for dear life. And then 5 laps to go. And the commentators nailed it. They said, based on, trajectory, lap time versus lap time, Denny Hamlin should catch him with 5 to go. And I'm like, okay, those numbers are current lap. In 10 laps, like, he might drop off more than Byron just based on, the curve. But they were spot on with how many laps were going to be left. I mean, less than 5. It was a good finish. I enjoyed that type of racing. It's hard to come by. We may not get that again this year.
No. As sad as that sounds, probably not. But like I said, it was just a really good finish. It had you on the edge of your seat. When that 11 car came into the picture, and you're like, oh, he could steal this win. That was like your moment going from 24's got this to, oh, this just got interesting.
Yeah, they're going to be Hamlin or Harvick. That's what I was sitting there thinking. And then I went back to Darlington and some of the other races from a few years before, where those guys were just trading wins, getting, they get 20 wins together that year, close to it, 18 wins. The year Harvick had 9, I think Hamlin had 8.
I'll look that up. 2020.
Yeah, they had a lot. I know they had a lot of wins, and neither one won the championship, but old Chase got it. But I know Harvick had a ton of wins, and it seemed like every week he was either going to be Harvick or Hamlin.
Yeah, it was Harvick and Hamlin 2020 because I think Hamlin was in the fight, but he couldn't get it done. But Harvick had won so many races that year, and I think it was Martinsville. He
Tried
tried.
to
He
wreck Kyle
tried.
Busch.
He tried
Yeah.
wrecking Kyle Busch and ended up wrecking himself. And he wasn't able to compete for a championship. I remember that being a very controversial topic in 2020.
Yeah. I want to play this audio. This is from YouTube. It's not mine. It's from Chase Elliott Fan Group YouTube. It is 77 to go. It's a pit stop had just happened for Chase. They were breaking it down between two stops, so they were going to stop again with 45 to go. But listen, it's strange. I'll say that. I'll play the audio.
Okay. I don't know what happened to the thing, dude. I do. Just be nice and smooth with it. Just take care of it. We'll get you fixed. Just do the best you can. Right on you now. That's how you are here. Did that little bit of air really kill us that bad, thing? No. Another problem I'll tell you later. Just for 45 lap runs, I got no other choice but to split this twice. Yeah, I'm with you. Alright, bud. Sorry about that. We'll get you a much better solution. I had a better car. Yeah, cool.
So yeah, that's odd, isn't it?
It's very odd.
So we were talking about that right before the show started.
Mhm.
You said you think it might be an unapproved adjustment they made. I have to agree with you. I feel like if they didn't want to say that over the air, that it's something that they're working on that they don't want anyone else to know about, which could still be an unapproved adjustment. But it might be something they're working on that they know works sometimes, and it just didn't work here. I know NASCAR will probably look into that. That's what they do. They'll probably ask for some notes and see what they adjusted to make sure it wasn't unapproved. I don't know if anything will become of that or not. I just found it strange that that audio, Alan Gustafson, crew chief, was being so reserved in what he said that it
It's
was.
almost like he was picking his words very carefully, like he knew someone would listen to it.
And I mean, those guys are that because of the way the sport is. You gotta kind of reserve yourself on the radio. I get it, but it's still kind of. I don't know that I'd go as too far as to say anything close to that and leave it up to judgment by other people, because that's all they
Yeah.
did was they left it up to your assessment. Because like right now we're saying, oh, it might be an unapproved adjustment. It might have been. We don't know.
Exactly. What I just to kind of build on that, Richmond has not it's had its fair share of radio controversy. 2013, Michael Watchett Racing, they tried to race fixing over the radio, telling Clint Boyer to spin out and all this to help the championship. I don't think it's on that level. I think it's either an unapproved adjustment that they were going to try and see if it wouldn't help them later in the race, or like you said, they're trying something a little bit different and it had the absolute worst effect on the handling.
But they don't. It may have worked somewhere, and they don't
Yeah.
want anybody to know that's what they're trying. I can't even imagine what they could have done during a pit stop that quick. They could have. You can play with the fans a little bit. I know that changes the aerodynamic stuff, but he's talking about an adjustment that they've made on pit road, and I've got to believe they either put maybe a spacer in the tire, It's not something we've used in a long time. They had a plate that you could put over that created more gap between the tire making contact with the wheel. And I don't know if maybe they tried that or they put a spacer in the springs. I don't know. We may find out. We'll probably never find out, but I found it interesting.
Definitely.
So we've talked about the finish. Let's watch the finish, and then we'll go over that real quick.
Okay.
Larson, Byron, and Truex. But Denny Hamlin on those newer tires is coming fairly quick.
Watch Kyle, we talked about it in fourth gear, jumps on the throttle, and that thing just slides sideways. 20 laps ago that the 11 would potentially be passing for the lead with 5 laps to go in this race.
Potentially, here it is. And I don't think William Byron is going to have anything for him.
Byron trying to fight him off. Hamlin to the stripe first. Harvick trying to close and take away second. Lap cars, 4 of them under a blanket dead ahead. Almirola moved up. Hamlin made a clean pass.
That's it.
Within 2 car lengths, not enough. Turn 2, final time. Wow.
Now
Oh,
that's
Towner, Denny Hamlin.
We heard.
Checker flag for Hamlin. We ain't gonna have to hear from us anymore, huh? Wow! Fix their problem, fix their season, the rest is history.
Yeah. Also, I will point out they used under a blanket way too many times during the race.
Yeah, they did use that expression quite a bit.
At least 6 times. I mean, use it a couple times, fine. But at one point, I was counting, and they had used it 3 times in like a 10-lap period. They were talking about lap cars under a blanket. And then they're talking about on a restart, 6 cars under a blanket. Man, come on. That's not... Under a blanket means a few things, but usually when you talk about racing, the cars are the same. On a restart at Richmond, none of those cars were the same. They were side by side. They were not the same. So that was a little annoying. Anyway, we were talking. I think that this was that race that we needed from the next gen car to, put some of the tire issues aside, build towards a better finishing season. Hopefully this is like a springboard for this car. I was very impressed with how the chassis handled. In my article that went up right before the race, I talked about, how's the car going to do under heavy braking. We had a race that was a very short track that was not a regular season race out in LA.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of heavy braking, a lot of acceleration. Not the same here. You don't go from the extreme speeds to a much slower speed. It's a different dynamic on the brakes. Someone pointed that out and said that we've already had a short track. I don't count that as a short track. It's short. It's not the same as Martinsville, Richmond or Bristol. You're putting way more wear and tear on the brakes. For one, they never ran more than 50 laps green at that track.
Something like
Here
that.
we ran fuel runs and we're talking about, going from 130 down to, 75 and then back on the accelerator. I mean, we worked the chassis here like we had not done all year. And I think the car held up pretty good and the tire issues weren't there. Did anything stick out to you that you were impressed by? Anything like that?
Well, I'll say this. I watched qualifying for this race, and something that I noticed pretty early on was how close everyone's times were. And you had the odd 22.3 Ross Chastain, but everyone was hitting around 22.5, 22.4, somewhere around there. And then in the race, you saw him running at, I think it was Kyle Larson who had the fastest lap of 23.2 22 or something like that on race pace. I thought that was pretty interesting, but besides that point, you saw a lot of great passing in this race. You didn't see guys get stuck behind one another, not being able to pass. You saw these guys, when they got to lap traffic, they could get under them, they can get by them with ease. There was no, I'm getting held up. The wake is knocking the car around. I can't get by the lap traffic. Now here comes second place. Now we're all going to stack up. You saw these guys actually able to get into the corner, under the car, go right by them, no congestion. None. I like seeing that. I really like seeing, even though even though Richmond is a short track and you can't really do much aerodynamically to, it's not like an Atlanta or a Fontana where, being able to cut through that air and be fast is a big deal. Not saying that it's not a big deal in a short track, but even with the new car, we have officially put the car through its paces when it comes to where we go, what we do, and it has outperformed all my expectations at least. I mean, I may sound like a broken record, but I cannot express enough how much this car has impressed me. Despite the tire failures at the beginning of the season, this car has just been incredible. It really has. And going back to that video of the last few laps, you saw Hamlin go into the corner a ways behind Byron. He would go up the track and he would cut the car down right as it was coming out of the corner, and he just zipped right by Byron, no issue. He didn't get stuck. I got to run. I'll go to your inside. I'll hold you on the outside, and then I'll pass you. It was completely clean.
Right.
I love that. I loved it. That was such a clean. I hated seeing a Toyota go by a Chevrolet, but there was nothing Byron could do. Yet his tires were dead by that point.
Yeah. And then in the post-race press conference, William Byron said those guys were on a different planet, and they were. They had much fresher tires. They had taken care of their tires through the field. I mean, I'm sure there was a point where also Dustin's birthday is the 8th, which is Friday. Happy early birthday.
Woo! 22. Thank you.
There was a point where I'm sure Denny Hamlin was like, we have no chance at winning. We're just going to run our race, get as high as we can. And then I'm sure with about 15 to go, it probably clicked. And he was like, I can win this. And he picked up the pace. I don't think there was, with 30 to go, he was like, yeah, I got this. I don't think that was a thing, but I would have loved to have been in his headset with about 50 to go, knowing that, they were way behind the curve, and it would have just been interesting. Also, as the season goes along, I think this is going to be more of a norm. I know that we've had a lot of different winners and a lot of new, like Trackhouse getting their first win. That was big. I think you will see less of that, because when you look at the results from Richmond, she's 22 as well. Yes, you are 100%. I think when you look at the results, there wasn't a team that finished anywhere near the top that wasn't a 4-car team. The exception was Ryan Blaney in 7th, and really, they have 4 cars. They just, one of them happens to be of the satellite team variety in the 21. But, first place, Denny Hamlin, Kevin Harvick, William Byron, Martin Truex Jr., Kyle Larson, Christopher Bell, all of those guys are part of big 4-car teams. And then other than Blaney, Alex Bowman, Kyle Busch. And for Busch to get back to 9th is crazy. That penalty really ruined his race. I think he would have had a shot at winning as well.
Yep.
Hi, grandson. There you go.
Hi, Papa. I'm on TV now.
Yes, he is. So it was a good race. It was good to see some guys get up there. I was a little disappointed with some people, and I'm not going to say they had a terrible race. I really just expected better things out of some of these guys, like Bubba Wallace, 26th. You know, Kurt Busch had a problem, and other than that, I think Kurt Busch would have been a top 10 car. And so for Bubba Wallace to finish 26th running and having no problems, you know, Eric Jones had an off day as well, 23rd. A guy that's been hot, Ross Chastain, even though he just got a win, you know, the pressure's off. 19th is quite a step back from the top 3 streak that he had.
Mm-hmm.
Suarez 16th. Brad Keselowski and Chris Buescher, 13th and 15th respectively. Those are great finishes for them. Those are building blocks. And at this point, Brad isn't going to make the playoffs because of the penalties, but Chris Buescher still can. So I hope the focus shifts a little more towards the 17 so they can try and get at least one car in the playoffs. That would be great to see as an organization with Brad joining them this year. It would just be really cool to see that happen. Grandpa again, sorry.
Watching, love you. I love you too, Papa.
We appreciate you watching.
But yeah, to kind of just build off of what you were talking about, that it really goes to show, you know, when you go to a short track, second.
You froze for a second.
Did I? Oh,
yeah.
Well, what I was saying was when it comes to this short track stuff, you're really gonna see the most experienced guys do really, really well.
Yeah.
And I mean, you see Denny Hamlin, Kevin Harvick, Martin Truex Jr., and despite his problems, Kyle Busch coming back to finish where he finished. I mean, right there is your most experienced guys, the oldest guys in the sport right now, and all of them finished inside the top 10.
Right.
The guys that have been hot all season long, and yes, some of them are up here, but you had guys like you said, Ross Chastain, he finished 19th. You know, guy has been fast all season long, and he finishes 19th here. Joey Logano, he finishes 17th. He's been pretty good this season, roughly. Daniel Suarez, again, he's been pretty good all season. He finishes 16th. Short tracks just seem to be, you know, talent and most experience is going to get you to the checkered flag the best, rather than anything else.
Other than Denny Hamlin's win, I mean, going into this last lap, there were only 3 drivers who were 2022 winners so far in the top 10. I mean, there were 7 drivers looking for their first win of the season. And the 3 drivers that had one was, you know, they're all Hendrick guys, but just outside the top 10. I mean, Austin Dillon, a 10th place finish, that's good for him. He usually does pretty well at Richmond, but it's been like an every other kind of Richmond race kind of thing. Doesn't always do good there. Reddick in 12th. I was shocked that Reddick didn't do better. I really thought he was going to have a top 5 run. This is a place that's rewarding for younger drivers at times because of the aggression with the new car.
Mm-hmm.
But it's like their car just never really took off. They were chasing adjustments all day. The same thing with Chase Briscoe, who ended up 11th. He was the lucky pass on that last caution, I believe, and got all the way back to 11th. So, you know, kudos to those guys. They fight. You know, they work their way back. I don't know, man. It was a good race. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah.
I think we can close the book on Richmond and talk about Martinsville, which is, if there's a short track, that is my favorite to watch.
Oh,
it
yeah.
always has 2 drivers mad at each other at the end for some reason.
At least 2 drivers.
Even be racing. It could be non-racing related, and it's going to be, well, your crew chief looked at me and called me fat kind of deal. It's always something at Martinsville. The racing's hard. It's so hard to pass that I think, you know, these guys get frustrated with each other. They get frustrated at themselves, and then they take it out, however, accordingly. You have some picks you want to throw out there? Give me 4 drivers.
Ooh. 4
But
drivers, huh?
we're gonna do it different. We're not gonna pick 4 drivers to win.
Mm-hmm.
I want you to do the big 4 teams. You've got Hendrick, Joe Gibbs. We'll throw Penske in there and Haas. Give me a driver from each team that's going to place the highest.
Oh man. But from Hendrick, I'll start off with Hendrick first. I think Hendrick, the highest finisher for Hendrick is probably going to be. I gotta go with William Byron on this one. I really do. I mean, although Richmond and Martinsville are two completely different tracks, the kid showed a lot of good speed at Richmond. I mean,
Yep.
let's just pull it up right here. He led 122 laps.
Yes, he did.
The second most amount of laps. The person that was ahead of him was Ryan Blaney, and he was the pole sitter. He had really good speed. They just had a very bad. The pit strategy went wrong for him.
Right.
Can't really do much with that. But I really think they carry this momentum from Richmond. I think he's going to finish the highest amongst his teammates at Martinsville. I mean, I don't know how else to explain it. He's got momentum from Richmond. It's another short track. It's Martinsville. I think William Byron might be the guy for Hendrick. For Haas, Kevin Harvick. He came out of nowhere. He came out of nowhere at Richmond. I was not expecting that 4-car to, magically be in second by the end. I didn't have him on my radar with 10 to go. I was like, the 11's coming, but let's not worry about that 4-car. And all of a sudden,
two down. I'll just go ahead and tell you. So far, we have agreed on none. I'm just going to say it. 2 more. Let's see if we get one right.
So you said Gibbs and Penske, correct?
Let's see if we get one. I shouldn't say right. I should say we get one at the same.
I'll go Penske first. I'll go before I do Gibbs. Penske, I'm going to say Ryan Blaney.
Okay. So we're still opposites.
I would say Austin Cindric, but Blaney showed a lot more strength at a short track than Cindric did. That might come down to experience. I don't have faith in Austin. He didn't do anything in Richmond to really make me think he could contend for a win on a short track or contend to be the best on the team. Now for Gibbs, I got to go for the race winner, Denny Hamlin.
So we do agree on one then. I like that.
So I'm assuming it's the Denny Hamlin. That's the one we agree on.
Right.
What are your picks?
So I'll just start where you left off. I picked Hamlin because he's your recent winner. He's going to have a lot of momentum. You could see him in that car when he won this race. It's like he hadn't won in years.
Yeah,
it was great to see him get back. I mean, you think last year no wins in the regular season. He gets a couple there in the playoffs, but another lame duck championship for him. So he hasn't had a good moment since winning that one playoff race. I think it was in the round of 12. I don't think he won in the round of 8. So it's been since then that he really had a great run. So it was good to see that. I think he'll run that momentum right into probably a win at Martinsville. I mean, it's right down the street from where they just raced.
Mm-hmm.
It's still in Denny Hamlin's backyard. For Hendrick, we're different because I'm going Chase Elliott. I think he's due a big race. I think they're going to sit down at some point and say, we need to give you more resources. You're not finishing anywhere near where the other guys are. This was another race that all of the 3 teammates finished top 10, and Chase was never really a true contender for a top 5. I mean, he ran in the top 10, but he never looked like a winner. So I think Chad Canals is going to go down to that specific team this week and do some purging, see what's going on. For Penske, this is a Joey Logano type of track. He likes the places where it's hard to pass. because he doesn't care that you're there. He uses his bumper and he gets around you. So I think he will be the highest placing finisher. Ryan Blaney's going to have a good race. This isn't Ryan Blaney's wheelhouse necessarily. He's a good 1.5 mile and super speedway driver, but I don't know that I would see Ryan Blaney in the top 10 in this race. Maybe. I could be wrong. You never know. And then the last team, Stuart Haas. I don't think it'll be Harvick. Harvick, this is not one of his good tracks. It hasn't been great for him. It's been mediocre. On the other hand, Chase Briscoe has done really well in his Xfinity time. And I think he will do really good here at Martinsville. He may even get a top 5 out of this. We'll see. And then I also have, if I'm going top rookie, the only reason I don't say rookie, Chase Briscoe is going to be, or Austin Cindric, would be my pick almost every race because Gilliland hasn't shown me anything. And he probably won't get a chance to until we get back to Talladega in a couple weeks. So, anyway.
Yeah, I can agree with Cindric being the highest finishing rookie. He's just, he's good.
Yeah, just about every race he has what it takes to be the top finishing rookie. That rookie race might be over by the time we get out of the Indy road course race. And that's crazy to say. But this rookie class, I mean, Harrison Burton, I had high hopes. But, we'll just say accidents happen. And I want to say he's got that 4th car curse. He's getting decent equipment, but he's not getting stuff he can win in. So both things against him. I think he might even be closer to Gilliland in the end of the standings than Cindric. So, yeah.
I'm not going to argue that. Not really not. He's got an average finish of 25.3 right now.
Yeah, he's not done well.
Mm-mm.
Who are you picking for the race? Are you going Denny Hamlin?
I'm actually not going to go Hamlin for this one. As much as I would actually want to pick him, considering how he did pretty good at Richmond, this season has been the theme of, we went through 7 races and we've had 7 different winners. We haven't had a repeat winner yet. I don't think Martinsville is going to be the place we get a repeat winner. I don't see it happening. I think a winner, a guy who's won this season is going to be leading the race right at the very end. If he just happens to get bumped out of the way, the final corner, or the final lap. Just saying.
Yeah.
I really don't know who I would pick to win this race. It's hard to. Yeah, you go first. You go first.
You might take one of my picks. I have 2 drivers that have not won yet that I think either one could probably win, and that's Tyler Reddick and Daniel Suarez. I think either one of these guys, I don't think we get a repeat winner until we get to Talladega probably. Right? I mean, I think Bristol Dirt, Blaney's by far the favorite going into that race. This race, I think odds-wise, you're probably going to see your regulars like Kyle Larson be an odds-on favorite. I'm not buying it from Martinsville. I'm going to straight up go Tyler Reddick and Daniel Suarez. And if I had to pick a third, I'm going Kyle Busch. And this is a decent track for him. It's not great. Dude is hungry. And if he doesn't get results soon, I expect by midsummer, if things haven't turned around, you may see a retirement announcement because this has been a very trying season for him. And I don't see it getting a lot better. I mean, Toyotas are at a disadvantage numbers-wise, and that's really messing with their flow, really messing with their progression. So we've talked about it a bunch. If I had to pick 3 drivers that are retiring this year, Kurt Busch, Kevin Harvick, Kyle Busch.
Your older guys.
Yeah.
Sad.
Almirola already he's going, but
Yeah, I can agree with those picks, but I'm actually not going to pick Kyle Busch for this. If we go by the last few times we've been to Martinsville, Truex, the last 5 times we've been there, he's won 3 out of the 6. No, 3 out of the 5. 3 out of the 5.
Mhm.
I know he hasn't been the best this season. If anything, Kyle Busch would probably be a smarter pick. But he did have a good car at Richmond. Once again, he fell into the trap that Byron did. He had good tire wear until the last few laps of the race, where it just completely fell off for him. I think if he had a little extra rubber, if he could have worked the tires a little bit more, he probably would have won that race.
Yeah.
Truex would be my number 1 pick for this race. My second, as controversial as his win was last year, I'm going Alex Bowman.
Yeah. I just realized what you were saying. Yeah.
I know.
Hack.
I mean, I'm not saying that he'll bump somebody out of the way for a win, but I'm just saying if he happens to be in second with 2 laps to go and he's catching the leader and he catches him before that white flag, I'm just saying he might do something. You got to watch out.
I would. I'd wreck my mama for a first place finish.
Exactly. And I don't think he's going to care if it's one of the Toyotas in front of him. But,
no, not at all.
So, Martin Truex Jr., Alex Bowman. Those are my 2 picks to win this race.
I want to know how much money Alex Bowman's made on those T-shirts.
More than you can imagine.
I'm sure. He's pretty good about turning an investment from somebody else's mouth into real money. I like that.
Exactly.
I think we've covered everything, man.
Mm-hmm. I think so. I do believe we have.
You want to throw it out again that we will be live covering the Talladega races, all 3, Truck Series, Xfinity Series on Saturday, and then we'll be also there for the Sunday Cup Series race in person. I'm pretty excited about this. We will be there Saturday morning, and we'll stay until probably Monday morning. So check that out in a few weeks. I doubt we'll do the show Monday after that, just because I probably won't be home yet. It's 6 hours from here, and I'm not going to rush home. We'll probably stop somewhere and do something crazy. But anyway, that's in a few weeks. We got Martinsville next, and then we have the Bristol dirt race. I'm excited for the dirt race. I think they've got some things they've got to figure out for the dirt race, because last year they had a lot of engine issues because of the dirt.
Mm-hmm.
Hopefully they took note. This grill is actually a lot smaller, and so if you clog that little thing up, everybody's motor is going to be blown.
Oh yeah.
Like this might be a stage race where they cut it into features, so they can get down there and clean the intakes and everything. But not my problem. I'm just going to talk about it.
It'd actually be very interesting if they did that. If they split it into features. I think that'd be
pretty
a
cool.
good break from the stage racing.
Well, they could still do stage racing. You have intervals. You run 2 features, and those are your stages. And then you have a main event. If they have that issue that they had with all the dirt last year, I don't think these cars can. I mean, like I said, much smaller intake. I don't think these cars can withstand that. So we'll see. Like I said, it's not my problem. Hopefully they figure it out. But I think we've covered everything this week, man. I hope you enjoy your birthday on Friday. It is Friday, right?
Yes. Yes, Friday. The 8th. Because the 9th and the 10th are Saturday and Sunday.
Yep. So enjoy your birthday. When we get back on Monday, I want you to show me, like show and tell, everything you got for your birthday. Like just
money. That's what I'm probably getting. It's money. Once you get past like 16, the extravagant gifts just go downhill.
Oh, I'm spoiled. I still get things like I'm a child.
Lucky.
Yeah. All right, man. Well, have a good evening. You guys, thanks for joining us on behalf of ASAP, All Sports All Plays Network, the Fox D Network, who gladly puts our shows on the air. We appreciate you guys, and we will see you guys next week. Have a good one. Oh, wait, one more thing. I almost forgot. Where'd it go?
All sports, all plays. All sports, all plays. All sports, all plays. 365, we making up plays. You talking the game, get you to the days. We're high in the court, the dime in the lane. Variety topics, never the same. All presentation, sports information. In the airways, taking the nation. Sport, all plays, like working your faces. Grace at the field, so tie the laces. All sports, all plays.